Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelava, and this is Speedplay Netherlands number 28. We left off, right now we have a bit of an issue with one of our estates not having enough land. We go ahead and just quickly give them enough provinces to make them loyal again. We also pass basically an interaction to get more support from them, as well as get some points from a few other factions. Right now we still have quite a bit of a force in South America. We're going to go ahead and just declare war on Argentina, or La Plata, I should say, in the Argentinian region. Now, they do have an interesting group of alliances. Unfortunately, most of the New World independent states are allied to one another in some way or another. Now, we are going to declare war on La Plata and have New Spain be a co-belligerent. They call in the USA, who we can't make a co-belligerent as well. At any rate, it doesn't matter too much. We go ahead and just move our armies into La Plata, sieging out the places without forts rather quickly, and more or less we're just going to gather our forces and attempt to take care of them pretty rapidly. Now, I believe they do have a rather significant army, at least significant enough that we can't just leave our sieging forces to just roam their countryside without any sort of support. Now, that's a bit unfortunate, as we also need to declare war, or we also need to just conquer New Spain and the United States in this war. Otherwise, we really won't have enough time. We won't be able to truce them and go through with it again. So we basically have 4 years to win this war and take everything that we want from essentially all the countries that border the Atlantic. Now, we do see they do have a 41 stack. We pull 60,000 men together, and we do win fairly handedly. There is a bit of an issue with rebellions up north in Brazil. We unfortunately don't have a colonial nation there, so that is actually our problem. Meanwhile, their army is going away. We go ahead and pick a leader with high administrative power, just because that's the thing we need the most at this point. We continue to drop forces off. We're going to pull our men out of Africa and use them to land in North America, and also probably deal with our Brazilian rebels first and foremost. Now, at this point, the war is definitely going to be won. It's really just a fight against time at this point. Now, we could have gone into somewhere like Asia, however, since we really do not have the admin points to take over areas directly, this is probably the best of both worlds, in the sense that we'll be able to grow our empire in the last few years and manage to actually core it and take care of it. We won't actually be coring it directly except for the first 5 provinces in Brazil and Argentina, but that's besides the point. Ultimately, though, this is really just the final act of cleaning up. Once we take all of the coastlands that are available to us, we're essentially going to be all the way through. Now, we did defeat the rebels. We are pressing deeper into La Plata. Unfortunately, they stack wipe one of our forces. Another force manages to escape. We do try to bring another force in. We lose another force. However, we do finally manage to attack them and defeat them. They are offering peace, but we're not going to accept it. If we're going to take any lands at all from New Spain and the United States, we're going to have to keep La Plata in this war. Usually I try to avoid invading the war leader first. However, we had our armies near them, and New Spain had allies that would have made this war a much larger task to take care of, and one that we probably wouldn't be able to do entirely in the amount of time we have left. That being said, we managed to destroy all of our Brazilian rebels. We do begin to just core 5 new provinces to just ensure we'll get a colonial nation, and we begin to siege America. We've also begun to just go all the way through La Plata. Their armies are dead or close enough that it doesn't really matter, and our sieging forces will be able to take care of whatever resistance shows up. Now, luckily we managed to siege one of the 2 American forts rather quickly. We'll just continue onward. We split our forces up to just carpet siege, and La Plata we're also beginning to carpet siege. We do manage to get our Brazilian colonial nation, and regular Brazil is, of course, landlocked just behind it. We continue to move forward through the United States. We've sieged both of their major forts, so now it's just a matter of carpet sieging and getting our army over to New Spain, or probably Mexico first and then New Spain after that. We moved our armies from La Plata down to the Portuguese Argentinian colony. We managed to fully siege out America. However, they won't accept peace at this moment. So we have to wait a little while. We do go ahead and begin sieging Mexico and uniting our forces against the Americans. We do still have 17,000 men, so we bring them up. We declare war and begin moving our forces down to Carpet Siege. Now we just have to wait a moment as our forces basically go through their assigned orders. We will hopefully be able to clean up this whole area. We only have a little bit less than 2 years left. We just stack wipe the Americans. That is great news. That'll hopefully get that taken care of rapidly. We finished the Suez Canal, which is amazing news. I'm glad that we managed to get that done before the end of the game. It cost us quite a bit of admin points, and we are severely in debt. However, that doesn't really matter at this point. Moving on, we really are just in a good spot. We peace out the United States. We take their coastline. We move against the former Portuguese colony of Transplata. I probably mispronounced that terribly. We drop another 35,000 men to take out Mexico. And at this point, it's going to be a matter of just hoping our siege is complete. We do not have very much time whatsoever. We need to really just handle New Spain basically as quickly as possible. We do go ahead and make peace. Getting Dutch La Plata, we go ahead and begin coring that. It won't finish by the time the game ends. However, we will have direct control of the lands, and they will eventually become a colonial nation. We annex Mexico, and now we're finally able to just go headlong into New Spain. Luckily, they don't have very many forts, so we'll be able to take all of these territories over within the month. We just divide our forces, ship them back up north into the Texas area. We're going to just try to rush forward as quickly as we can. There is one very important siege on their coastline. We have 2 sieges going on the coastlines, one in New Spain, one in La Plata. Hopefully we're going to be able to get everything that we want before the end of the game. However, we only have 2 months left. So at this point, we're going to just see what we're able to get. We managed to go pretty far in the last 4 years. We've taken over essentially massive amounts of the New World. We go ahead and just see what exactly we're able to get, which thankfully is their entire coastline. We now go to peace out with La Plata. It seems as though the bug only persists in regions that we have colonial nations in. We do, however, manage to completely get rid of their coastlines. And so we have it. With a mere 6 days left in the campaign, we may as well call it right now. I am incredibly happy with where we managed to get Europe at the end of this campaign, where really we control almost everything. The only border we have left is our border with Muscovy, which is a bit of a significant power. We'll go ahead and take a look at their army ranking. However, they don't even show up at the top of it. We'll go ahead and look and see if we can find them. Muscovy has 56,000 men. That's really basically an army and a half of ours, so we don't really have to worry about that. We have a slew of very nice client states who we managed to give nice custom names and flags to, and they basically take care of all the borderlands for us. There are, of course, the Ottomans. However, they're just a rump state now. We control Jerusalem, the Suez Canal, Mecca, and Medina, all of that area. We have a decent amount of Africa. Admittedly, we did leave Asia more or less alone. That's something we never really quite got around to. Korea is massive and apparently controls Japan as well, which is a bit unique. Ming did not actually explode, which is very nice for them. Orissa has created for itself a massive empire. They are Hindu. And in fact, so is Korea, so I actually think that's normal, but it's still interesting that there is a Confucian Japan. Over here we see that all of the natives have more or less been left to create their own countries, minus the French and Portuguese and Spanish, and also French again. So I guess maybe the East Indies aren't so independent. Malacca has formed, though, which is interesting. Persia is rather significant, and Ethiopia as well. In South America, we have managed to take the entirety of the coastline and split it between our colonial nations and our directly controlled region. However, as soon as these finish, that would immediately switch to a colonial nation. Ultimately, North America, the entire coastline, and interestingly enough, we do actually have Nova Scotia from when we annexed Scotland. The entire Atlantic coastline of North America is under control of us or our vassals and, well, essentially just colonial nations. California and Alaska control the Pacific coast, and they're left more or less alone. New Spain has been basically landlocked, as well as Louisiana. We really didn't quite spread our influence throughout the entire world, as this entire region on the map right now essentially managed to stay independent. However, I'm sure given enough time we would have eventually managed to move in and clean that all up. Realistically though, I would have been content to just create essentially what we did already. In an ideal world, maybe another client state to just clean up this section of the border. And from there we would just focus on essentially trade companies and all that. At any rate though, I am incredibly happy with where we left off. We have basically dominated the world. We've definitely dominated Europe. That is just ours probably forever. North America, we do have the issue of many vassals who just want to break free. In fact, we only have very few. The Balkan state, Brazil, that's it. Those are the only two that aren't in any way hoping to break free from us. So, if we're able to keep all of these countries in line, we have an amazing empire for the rest of time. Even if we were to lose them, we would still have our massively wealthy homeland. I'll go ahead and take a quick look at our accepted cultures. Essentially everywhere that's German is an accepted culture, so we do have a little bit of areas that, you know, hate us out on the periphery. Although that really doesn't matter. We've essentially dominated the world. We stand at a point of just absolute, unquestioned dominance. We are in quite a bit of debt, however, at this point, who really cares? We can afford it. We are the richest and most powerful state in the world. Who's really going to question us? And ultimately, we could just disband an army or two, and it wouldn't even matter anymore. Maybe part of the fleet. Or even forts. We're spending 234 ducats a month on forts. We could even just turn off some of the ones deep within our own territory. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. This has been a rather enjoyable ride. Near the end, we've just sort of been lazily bludgeoning our way through the world, although really there's nothing wrong with that. It was kind of enjoyable and certainly cathartic when my other games, such as the Eastern Cossacks one, didn't go very well. It was definitely cathartic to take my frustrations out on the new world. At any rate, after this, we're going to be playing a game of Victoria 2. I wasn't sure earlier if it would be in Bavaria or Italy. I'm definitely leaning more towards Italy. And we'll have new episodes of that coming out every Saturday. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching. And it's been a very nice ride. I'll go ahead and create a time lapse. Hopefully it'll be out before this video is released, and we'll see exactly where the Netherlands goes in the next roughly 200 years. It has been a very nice ride. Thanks very much for being there with me. Have a great day.